Today's program continues our look at Barcelona, Spain. And now we're going to have a look at the itinerary for day 3 in visiting Barcelona, which primarily will be further walking in the downtown pedestrian district. There's a lot more to see in this downtown Gothic center. Now, you could have attempted these following walks as part of your first day in Barcelona, but that would have been really trying to squeeze things in. So spreading out the walks in this way over 3 days provides the pleasure of absorbing the sights at a relaxed pace and leaving yourself time for unplanned detours. We'll start out once again at Passeig de Catalunya, and you might walk north a few blocks along Passeig de Gràcia to appreciate some of the great modernista buildings along this major boulevard, including another masterpiece by Gaudi called Casa Batllo. It's a private house that's now open as a museum. It's got curvaceous lines that seem organic. It's like growing like a plant out of the ground, or it's considered by some to look like bones. The architecture of Casa Batllo in some ways is a metaphor for the story of St. George slaying the dragon. You look at the roofline of the building and it resembles the skin of a dragon. Now 2 blocks further north, there's another Gaudi building, a famous apartment house called Casa Mila, also called La Pedrera, which means the stone quarry, as in all of the stones that had to be quarried to come and build this magnificent structure. Well, this too is a former private apartment house which is still partly occupied as a private apartment. And it's also a museum. You can pay to go inside if you wish to. This is the modern section of town called the Eixample, or extension. It's a 19th century enlargement of Barcelona, and it has many trendy boutiques. There's sidewalk cafes and art galleries and wonderful architecture, a sprinkling of more of the modernista as well as the contemporary style here. So it's a good place to wander about and browse for a while. Now, lovers of modern art would enjoy a visit to the MACBA, that's the Museum of Contemporary Art. It's housed in a dramatic all-white building that was designed in 1995 by Richard Meyer, a famous American architect, and it's located in the Raval district on the west side of Rambla. So to get here, you head back to Plaça Catalunya, and it's just about a 5-minute walk. You can reach it along Carrer Elizabeth or Carrer Tires. And then when you're satisfied with the museum, maybe just look at the outside of it, depending on what special exhibits they're having inside to catch your fancy, you can plunge once again into the Gothic Quarter. This will be another adventure of walking through more pedestrian lanes, different places than you've seen already, crossing some scenic plazas, and perhaps visiting another art museum and seeing places not previously covered, as well as backtracking if you have time later in the day to some of your favorite haunts. You want to start out with the wide and busy pedestrian shopping promenade of Portal del Àngel. Now you can get there either going over from the Rambla, or you can reach it most easily from the east corner of Plaça de Catalunya, just near the Tourist Information Office. This broad boulevard is lined with department stores and specialty boutiques, and it's packed with shoppers all day long and well into the night, at least until 8 p.m., and some shops are open till 9 p.m. In fact, this street is so prominent that you've probably already discovered it earlier in your visit to Barcelona on your own, and you'll end up returning here several times during the visit. Often there's some outdoor craft markets that are set up along this mall, and El Corte Inglés, Spain's biggest department store, has a major branch here to supplement its larger flag shop that's back on the Plaça de Catalunya. This busy street is filled with friendly people, and you're going to notice there's lots of tasty treats to eat, as we found in talking with these gals, enjoying some chocolate cake.
That looks very good. What is that? Ice cream? Chocolate cake?
Chocolate.
Chocolate. Ah.
¿Cómo se llama nata? Uy, estoy más pegada en inglés.
Chocolate cream. Ah, beautiful. Very beautiful. Thank you.
And there are quite a few neighborhood food markets throughout town and throughout Spain, really, where there's a very casual setting. You can purchase meats or cheeses to take out, or you can sit inside and have a snack. You can buy a bottle of wine to take out, or you can sit inside the shop and drink a glass of wine or a coffee. It's a regular neighborhood gathering spot that has a very friendly and casual atmosphere. It's the kind of place that we don't see much of in America. America is seemingly the foods are either to take out or you can sit inside and eat while you're sitting down, but rarely do you have a small market that has a combination of both styles of eating. It's a delight. There's some attractive side lanes that branch off from lAngel in both directions, leading to more shops and restaurants that are certainly worth exploring. Vegetarians can usually find something to eat in the regular restaurants of town, but there is a very special vegetarian self-service buffet restaurant called Self Naturista. It's just around the corner on Carrer de Santa Ana, which is also a neat street in itself. It's got a couple of small hotels and plenty of shops. The lAngel Promenade is just a few blocks long and it leads directly into the heart of the Gothic quarter. Take your first left on Carrer Comtal from lAngel and walk a few blocks over to the Palau de la Música Catalana. This is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's a major music hall that was built in the late 19th century, and the exterior is encrusted with statues of musicians and mythological characters in the modernista style. And that was a Barcelona interpretation of the Art Nouveau style, expressing the distinct Catalan identity through its architecture. The Palau is busy as an active venue for performing arts. It's a wonderful concert hall. There's events staged here every week, or you could just pay to go inside during the day for a guided tour. It might be best if there is a concert scheduled during your visit to simply see it in that way. Now, if you'd care to veer away from the tourist path now for a half an hour or more for a taste of the ordinary working class neighborhood set in a medieval atmosphere, continue east from the Palau de la Música, go over a few blocks through the district of San Pere, traversed by 3 parallel streets, all named San Pere but with different endings, Mezalt, Micha, and Mebai. These narrow pedestrian alleys interconnect and they create this delightful maze of ancient lanes in which to wander. Now, this neighborhood is named for the former convent monastery of San Pere, and there's still an ancient church on the small plaza of the same name, San Pere. The church's dark interior features 10th century Corinthian columns, a 12th century dome, and Byzantine barrel vaulting. Be sure to stop inside. And as you walk along, you're going to see the locals going about their business, shopping, talking, hanging out. There's small grocery stores here that spill out onto the sidewalk, and there's stands for fresh produce. There's alluring bakeries that will tempt you with their sweet delights. This is a quieter part of town and enjoys a slow pace of life in a world of its own. So you can hang out here for a while and just simply meander. And when you're done, exit this district along Passeig de San Pere, which leads to Carrer del Corders, which is one of the main thoroughfares that's running through the area. Alternatively, if you're pressed for time, you could just skip that extended walk through San Pere and head directly south from the music hall through a neighborhood of narrow pedestrian lanes, and that will put you in 3 blocks at the newly renovated Mercat de Santa Catarina, with its swooping, colorful roof that shelters typical food stalls and a few small restaurants. And then continue from there 1 block south to Carrer del Corders, which is a main pedestrian lane that's worth strolling up and down, making note of those narrow residential side alleys with their colorful laundry hanging up above, and very quiet residential foot pattern there. Now you're entering the section of old Barcelona that's referred to as La Ribera. So you turn from Carrer del Corders onto the major walkway of Carrer Montcada, which changes names a few times and basically takes you through the center of this historic zone of La Ribera. This was an area of deluxe palaces and rich merchants back in the 14th and 15th centuries, and some of these buildings are still standing today and adapted to new uses, such as the Picasso Museum. Love him or not, Pablo Picasso was the major artist of the 20th century, and he lived in Barcelona during his formative years from ages 14 through 23 until his career and fame really got started. Then he left Spain, especially because of his distaste for the dictatorship of Franco, and he moved to Paris and other parts of France where his genius continued to flourish. Founded after his death, this is the most popular museum in town, with one of the world's largest Picasso collections that are spread through what had been 5 separate mansions that are now seamlessly joined. Now, if you don't want to pay the admission to go inside, by all means at least have a look at the series of interconnected courtyards, and you're welcome to go into the gift shop naturally. Continue south along Carrer Montcada, with some diversions through those numerous side streets that honeycomb this most historic neighborhood, with little shops tucked away. Whatever looks good, whatever catches your eye, go for it, and come on back to Montcada to get your bearings. And then when you get hungry, it pays to look carefully for these little restaurants that are hidden away in the side alleys. One example is New Cellar, which is tucked away between Carrer de la Princesa and Barra de Ferro. Here we ducked into this spot and had just a terrific lunch. Not expensive, real good service in this kind of a small traditional restaurant. It's just 2 blocks over from the Picasso Museum. This restaurant is called New Cellar, but perversely it's hard to find because they don't post any sign out front. It seems like they're trying hard not to draw attention to themselves. They're so popular, they don't want to get too crowded. So you have to know where it is, right along Barra de Ferro, just west of the Picasso Museum. They specialize in Catalan regional cuisine. After lunch, head for the large Gothic church, Santa Maria del Mar, with its massive interior that's second only to the cathedral in size. The church itself is really, really impressive with its huge nave, its soaring columns, its Gothic vaulted arches. Now, this was all built during the Gothic period, particularly in the 13th through 14th centuries, and so the architectural form is 100% Gothic. It's not influenced by the later period of the Renaissance or the Baroque. There's no fancy flourishes to its style, and nor was it built upon an earlier church in a Romanesque style with a more of a squat foundation and thicker walls and lower ceiling. No, it's pure Gothic through and through, so you have all of those classic elements of the Gothic period. Notice the beautiful small plaza in front of the Church of Santa Maria del Mar. It's busy during the day as well as at night with cafes and the shops around it and the people walking past. This is a major pedestrian thoroughfare connecting different parts of the old section of Barcelona, so there's always people coming here and there. And behind it is the tree-lined promenade of Passeig del Born with several short shopping streets extending a few blocks south. This neighborhood was the center of town back in the Middle Ages, functioning as the financial marketplace and gathering spot. It was execution grounds and a general place to be. Well, today it's experiencing a rebirth with a lot of trendy shops and cafes thriving in the blocks around the church. A major park with the public zoo, the Parc de la Ciutadella, is about a half a mile further east. Now, after Santa Maria del Mar and having a look at the Born district, you could either head back into the center of town, walk right up Carrer del Argenteria, which extends 200 yards from the front of the church back into the historic district. Or on the other hand, you might want to head for the waterfront, which is only 3 blocks away, down to the Passeig del Born, which is a wide boulevard along the water's edge. It's got a lot of beautiful palm trees, and there you'll find the marina, and beyond that there's a broad white sandy beach. And you could easily spend the rest of your afternoon along the waterfront visiting a couple of major museums and Europe's largest aquarium containing 8,000 fish. You'll notice there are lots of boats tied up here at the marina, and you can see most of them from the main boulevard, just walking right along the shoreline. It's really an open, sunny area that provides a dramatic contrast to that really constricted lanes of the old town with all of its narrow alleys and its dark shadows. Here by the water, there's palm trees and outdoor restaurants with views of the Port Vell Marina, and wide busy streets with lots of cars and trucks going by. And there's a mix of modern and older buildings that makes this a refreshing change of pace. Nautical buffs will surely enjoy the Naval History Museum. The other large waterfront museum is the Museu de Història de Catalunya, which offers a stroll through history. You go from the Stone Age up through modern times in a huge restored brick warehouse. And from here it's an easy stroll or taxi ride back to the center of town to complete your visit to Barcelona.